Hello, it's Friday afternoon, and we're hanging out with the one and only Matt Weinglass. Let's talk. I guess we're not talking. Okay, let's try this again. It's like something that would happen in Get Smart, in a Get Smart movie. Let's talk. Yeah, that old trope. Let's see. Get Smart really started off with it, but then it was in Iron Man. It was in Blade 2 or 3 where they go, okay, it's going to be happening right about now. And nothing happens. And they're like, right about now. Then nothing happens. And they're like, now. And then finally, whatever it is happens. That's an old Hollywood trick. But at any rate, it wasn't intentional here. It was just that I was clicking on the wrong thing. All right. So before we get started, as always, we got to hear a word from our man, from our guy, Keir Starmer. There you go. There you go, Keir Starmer. Thank you for your contribution to this show. All right, let's get rolling. Matt Weinglass, before we start, tell everybody where they can find you and all your fine works.
Absolutely. The Homeless Left. We're on Rumble, and we also have our brand new YouTube channel because the original one got terminated. You can find, you can't find The Homeless Left on Rumble, but you can find THL Presents on YouTube. I meant YouTube. YouTube is that's the censorship headquarters where you get emailed by Google and told that your channel is having conversations on it that are dangerous to the community. So we had one go down, but this one's up and going. So you guys can get us on THL Presents on YouTube, and then The Homeless Left on Rumble.
All right, let's get started with, in that we never trust what we're seeing from the government. Let's get started with the Charlie Kirk story. The FBI has come forward with lots of great info. For instance, have you seen those text messages, the alleged text messages?
I think the text messages are really the template I think we need to look at to see how are people responding to them? Because if anybody looking at them can see there's something very wrong here. And I'm shocked, Garland, about the people that think it's on the up and everything checks out. That part it's hard to process how many people actually think that this thing is legit when it clearly isn't.
Yeah, it's like, let's see. Why would you go into a text message and just pretty much like give out all the info? Yes, I was running and then I put a gun here. It was hidden there and this and that. And I'm like, well, in the hell would you just write a text message that is, for all intents and purposes, a confession to the crime? And in this day and age, when everybody knows, here's what we were told. He was extremely intelligent. Okay, he was extremely intelligent, but he couldn't figure out that could get his text messages. So he just confessed to everything. It just seems a little suspicious to me.
Well, it seems that the FBI, Kash Patel, had his back against the wall here. I mean, there were so many unanswered questions that they just were not going to be able to get to all of them. So somebody probably had a smart idea and said, hey, Kash, why don't we feed this thing into ChatGPT, say, hey, how do we get all of these things to be kind of concluded? We need to fix these problems. Why don't we do it in a text message? And then we can tell everyone it's not the legit text message because that one got erased or it got deleted, but this is a recreation and the public will go for it just as long as we get all these things to happen. So so if you guys go through this thing, not only, so he's making the confession. By the way, they couldn't get the confession from him in real life, so they had to do it on a fake text. So you got the confession, you got the location of the weapon, you got the type of weapon, you got the whole thing about it being wrapped in a towel, you got a motive. You even exonerate this George Zinn character and say, oh yeah, he's like not a thing. So that's also mentioned. You got the bullet engravings being mentioned. You got this whole idea about him changing outfits mentioned. So, I mean, it's a list a mile long, not to mention how long he's been planning it. The confession note, which has now been destroyed. He mentions, oh, yeah, that existed at one point. and then the dad being a hardcore MAGA, that has to get in there, because we know that in relationships, you have to always check in with your partner and tell them, just so you know, my dad voted for Trump. And it's something you need to kind of remind them about in the middle of a text.
But might I add something? This
Yeah.
is his significant other, whatever the case may be. They live together daily. And this person is trans. And he's just now telling this trans person who lives with him every day, I forget, a year or however long they've been living together, didn't know that his father was a hardcore MAGA, and didn't know that you mean you've been with this person all this time who is trans, and you never said to this person, oh, by the way, just so you know, my dad's a hardcore MAGA and blah, blah, blah. And now finally you break this news that this person would have never any otherwise known.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously didn't do a once-over after ChatGPT whipped this thing out. The other thing they forgot to check, Garland, was the language being used. This is not how 20-year-olds talk. They don't talk in complete sentence on text. By the way, the language choices, the word choices, he's talking about his car as a vehicle, talking about sweeping the spot. It's like talking about I mean, this is police language. This is stuff that they don't use, that you know that 20-year-olds don't use when they're texting each other. Not to mention, I mean, and I think this is my biggest issue with it, is if you're trying to tell us that this is a relationship that they both were in and cared about each other, why would you tell the person you're with, I'm going to tell you everything, and then please promise me not to share this with anyone, especially the FBI? It makes absolutely no sense. And again, back to the part that so many people are buying this because they want it to fit into a determined narrative. And that's how we've all been kind of trained, is to get to your conclusion first and work your way backwards. And make no mistake, the right is just as guilty at this. They have a conclusion in place, and then they work their way backwards. And that's how the FBI is behaving. That's how everybody is behaving. And it's insane that we're in a society where everybody is working backwards, where the honest way to do anything is, we know as journalists, the honest way to do detective work, the honest way to do anything is to start where you are now and then work ahead, work towards a destination and try to find that destination. Don't start at your destination, work backwards. So I think that's really the disconnect here. And so many people are suffering from those mental gymnastics you got to play if you're going to do everything in reverse.
You know, as a former investigator, I'll tell you this. If I look at this exchange, here's one of the things I would do. I would separate them. For instance, I'd say, let me first read what this guy said, and let me read what the person that they were responding said, so I can separate them and kind of get the mindset for each person, right? If I'm doing an evaluation of, a statement analysis, as it were, right? When I look at that, here's what I'm thinking. The roommate in here, I guess, must have been an FBI investigator, because all they did was ask questions. Here's the roommate. Let's see what the roommate says. First thing, what? You're joking, right? With lots of question marks. So they're asking a question, right? What? You're joking. In other words, give me more. Here's the second thing that the roommate says. You weren't the one who did it, right? With 4 question marks. So they're asking a question again. You weren't the one that did it, correct? Which said, now, when someone says right, that means tell me more. So the first thing is they end their first statement, what? Question mark, question mark, question mark. You're joking, right? Question mark, question mark. The next statement, you weren't the one who did it. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. The next statement, I thought they caught the person. Question mark. Next statement, why? Question mark. Robinson, why did I do it? Question mark. Roommate, yeah. So far, every statement from the roommate has been a question mark. Why'd you do it? What? You aren't the person. What? Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. Every question. Now let's continue. The roommate. How long have you been planning this? Question mark. Everything that we have heard from the roommate is nothing but a question mark. In other words, if I were an investigator, these are the questions I'd ask, right? everything would be a question. No,
Yep.
oh, I love you. Oh, I'm so worried about you. Oh no, this you're gonna go to jail. No concern. What now? If this is any of us and we have a person that we love and they may be in trouble, we'd be like, oh my God, I'm never gonna see you again. You're gonna go to jail. Be careful. The police are gonna shoot you. You would think, turn yourself in now. You would somehow think about your relationship. You would somehow think about that your concerns that you're never going to see the person again. Your life is destroyed. You would somehow think about what's going to happen. Are they going to get killed by the police? Are they going to kill? You would have some concern for some of that. Nope. The only thing the roommate does, every single question that says, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. Let's see anything else from the roommate. Roommate, you are all I worry about, love. The last statement. I'm much more worried about you. So the only thing the statement this person does is ask questions with tons of question marks. And then just at the end says, I'm much more worried about you. And this person says, since Trump got into office, my dad has been a pretty diehard MAGA. So this person's just finding that out? You live with the person every day and they don't know that your dad's a diehard MAGA? I mean, if it was a trans person, I would think that this person is in a relationship with a trans person, and the first thing they'd say to them is, look, my dad's a hardcore MAGA, so yeah, it's going to be a problem, right? Why would you wait until after you've ostensibly shot somebody and now you're going to finally tell them something that they didn't know? Makes no sense to me.
I'm surprised we didn't see a follow-up from roommate saying what with more question marks.
Yeah. Huh? Tell me more.
Yeah. So,
right.
I mean, it's an exceptional analysis you're doing right now, Garland. We're both having it because we're not starting from the point of we have to have this conclusion, and that's what the problem is right now. And anybody else who's trying to defend this, isn't grounded in reality. And the reality is we have an FBI director who's dropped the ball at every single turn. At best, he's incompetent. That's best case scenario. But we know it's probably worse than that. It's probably worse than incompetence because there's just too many things wrong with this thing. There's too many things where you would be asking questions and you'd want to have follow-up on these questions. We're not hearing anything. There's so many elements of this we're not hearing anything about. We're not hearing about the crime scene being destroyed like within the first hour. I mean, it's gone. All the cameras taken away. We're not hearing about the security team and how they behaved and all the hand signals. We're not hearing anything about that. If I'm the FBI director, I'm going to want to go through each and every one of these things. Not to mention, we talk about this we call him a decoy. The first guy, we know this old man. His name George Zinn. This guy has turned up in random places, not to mention 9/11. I mean, the guy has a video. You guys can go look for this guy's video about it's called Memories of 9/11. And he actually says in the video what a amazing experience it was for him. So, I mean, you guys can go down that rabbit hole. But the point is, if I'm the FBI director, why would I let this first guy go who said out loud in public, shoot me, shoot me? So the fact that you let him go, and then you told everyone we got the guy, you got to create this fake ass mission accomplished moment as if you were like channeling George W. from the early 2000s. It didn't really work that way. We didn't. I mean, you might as well put up a banner and say mission accomplished because the whole thing was staged. It was all fake. And now we're not allowed to ask any more questions about all these unanswered things that are going on. And so this is a major problem. Not to mention, let's not forget the FBI. Kash Patel comes in as the new director, and he immediately tells us that the Epstein files don't exist. Immediately tells us that Epstein killed himself. So this is somebody who how we have no track record of being honest. And again, we're going to look at these text messages and say, yeah, that checks out. None of this checks out. And again, this is probably worse than incompetence. It's probably much worse than that. But can we at least agree that it's at least incompetence?
Yeah, and I'm hearing more and more about the spookiness of Kash Patel's girlfriend. She's like, she's like a former IDF person or some crap like that. And I'm like, yeah, well, she's excuse me, his handler. Why don't we go there? Well, his handler, they get handlers, just like what's her name, Kamala Harris, her husband / handler.
Yep.
We go on and look. So this guy, I thought they grabbed the person. He's 22-year-old. No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. Similar clothing? A 22-year interrogated someone in similar clothing. Then he goes into it. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of the town got like, okay, first of all, I'm a former police officer, and one of the things that I've done by the umpteen millions is read police reports. I would come in on a Monday morning, my desk, and there was this thick with report. You know what I mean? All the things that happen, and I read the police reports. That's how people will write in police reports. I was traveling eastbound on Route 2 at approximately 4:55 p.m. when a dark gray sedan passed me, and that's a police report. This sounds like somebody who writes damn police reports.
Yeah.
Someone in similar fashion. I then approached the suspect and saw that, you know what I mean? And it's like, what's the other one that's really, what's the other? There's that one. And he says, if I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Who the hell writes this? If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence.
So this is what leads to the next major problem with this. Even if we believe that this is the way these people talk to each other, which it's not, but let's go with it. Okay. Yeah. Here's a massive problem. He's talking about going back to the crime scene. There's a timeline about when he's taking off his outfit, putting on another outfit, changing that outfit back to the original outfit. That's the only way they can explain the different video footage. By the way, there's no footage of him actually setting up the rifle and aiming it at Charlie Kirk. Where's that? That's gone because you have him running from the building. Okay, different outfits. So now he's telling his roommate lover, he's telling him on this fake text that, oh, here's how I'm going to go and fix this mess because for some reason the rifle I don't know how it got off the roof because taking it apart and putting it in a backpack isn't actually a thing. Putting it in my leg of my pants, I won't be able to walk. None of that checks out. But let's just go with it. All of that checks out. New information came out last night, Garland, from an actual journalist, Candace Owen, who actually is doing journalism. And she was given a verified 100% screenshot of Tyler Robinson at a Dairy Queen ordering a milkshake. That's 17 minutes of a drive away from the crime scene at 6:38 p.m. Mountain Time. That happened. That exists. They're going to have to explain this picture. He's literally standing in a Dairy Queen. Now, what outfit is he wearing? This is where it gets really interesting. He's wearing the t-shirt of the second outfit and the jeans of the first outfit.
AI got confused with the video and it stuck them together.
So now we have Cash has a massive problem. I bet he's sweating bullets right now, literally like looking at this picture going, what the hell do we do about this? Because now you have a timestamp of 6:38 p.m., which is right around when he was supposed to be retrieving and going back to the crime scene and all the stuff he said he was going to be changing outfits. Nothing lines up anymore.
Oh, there's going to be a text message.
Why would you get in your car and drive 17 minutes to away from your crime scene that you just killed somebody? And he looked by the way, in the picture, he looks completely chill, nonchalant, waiting for a milkshake like anybody else would. And it really gets you questioning these crazy shooters, right, Garland? You got Tyler Robinson at a Dairy Queen. You had Luigi Mangione at a McDonald's. It's so interesting that the FBI always seems to want us to believe that these highly trained assassins seemingly will risk everything for a little fast food, huh? That's funny.
Lee Harvey Oswald, there were witnesses that said they saw him the day he was supposed to be shooting JFK at the time. 6 minutes before that, they saw him on the third floor sitting in the cafeteria eating a burger and drinking a Coke.
Yeah, that's
in the midst of that, I guess you actually put it down like, oh, this is delicious. I love this Coke. Holy shit, I'm supposed to shoot somebody in 6 minutes. Wow. Oh, man, get back and get my Coke.
Yeah. He's like, I shouldn't have supersized that one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, damn, that's been $5 for this. And these fries are going to go to waste. Oh, well, got to shoot the president. And then he shot this magic bullet that went around and came from this side and went that side and every different, So it's always the game. So now, that's the thing about it, too. If you've ever been around guns, A bolt action rifle like that is very, very heavy. Those things are not light, and they're large. And I gotta believe that he took it apart and changed clothes and like either put it in his backpack, which the damn thing would be like, I can't even put my hands how far long it would be. It would be way above the backpack if he did it. And it would be awkward. So it would like slip and fall out. You're going to come off a roof, it's falling off. You got it down your pants. Well, you can't bend your legs. How do you come up the steps in that picture? How do you jump off a roof with a handgun, with a long gun in your pants or in your, and he didn't come off like he had, he just blew right off the roof, but he's got this thing is very large and very heavy. And he didn't lose any of the pieces. He didn't lose the Allen wrench he needed to put it together. He jumped off and he just la 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 la. Let me take. I guess he put like a little jeweler's lens, the magnifying thing. It's got to get that screw in there just right. There we go, nice and clean. Oh, let me set it here. Boink, off I run. Why would he take it with him?
Look, they're not going to be able to answer these questions. I think that one of the reasons why I'm guessing half the country's buying this right now. The reason is because they have already been programmed into a place in our society. And I think this goes back. We talk about COVID a lot. We talk about this. We're all in this together. Do your part. And this part is just as important of the timeline, Garland. But right before they got Tyler Robinson, there was the picture of him. We got the picture. And what they did is the FBI sent it out to everyone. And they said, hey, we need your help. And I saw people sharing this. This was the night before September 11th, the night of, where they said, oh, we had the wrong guy. Now we got we got the picture of the guy. We need your help identifying him. $1 million reward, all this stuff. And people did their part. They started sharing it everywhere as if the FBI needs our help. Now think about this. The FBI needs your help. So this is the programming that happens. We're all in this together. We're all doing our part. Why would they do anything against us when they want us to help them? We all help each other. We're all on the side of let's get to the conclusion here with as little hassle as possible. So there's this urgency of don't ask questions, just do it. Very, very COVIDian of them to do this. And I'm making this comparison because this is how people go along with this without asking questions. And then when people like you and me and Candace Owens start saying, wait a minute, this doesn't check out, we get looked as anti-science. Now it's anti-truth, whatever you want to call it, anti-whatever, fill in the blank. You're not with the program. You're not on the team. The team is, we're all in this together. Let's get it done. 2 weeks to slow the curve. That's the analogy I'm making here because that's how people are already wired. And that's why half the country believes this garbage. But I'm sure they want more than half the country to believe it. But hopefully there's enough people to say, no, we smell BS on this. And then we have to go to the next part of this discussion. Why are they lying to us? What are they hiding from us? Those are real questions. Those are real, honest questions. And we have, we've gone down that path as well. If we want to get into some of that, and the Israel problem, that's another problem.
Well, here's, and if we continue with this, here's what he says. How long have you been planning this? Boy, the roommate sure is curious, huh? Almost like an investigator. The exact questions an investigator would ask. How long have you been planning this? A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it. He's talking about his gun, where he left it, where he had to leave it. He says, I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right. But who the hell called the police car a squad car? No. Other than another policeman. A squad car park. I haven't heard that since, you watch some old 1960s. 1 out of 12, respond to a squad car. He might as well call it a black and white or something, a patrol unit, the patrol unit. But he calls it a squad car. Who the hell, young people, are going to say, there was a cop. The cops were near it, so I had to. He says, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. That sounds, listen, this is what it did. I read these damn police reports every day. Swept that spot. is
No.
something that would, the policeman, what'd you do? Well, we've already swept that spot, but we can go back and police the area again. You know what I mean? We've already swept that spot. Swept? Squad car? A 22-year-old?
No. So again, it's so obvious. How stupid do they think we are? And again, the people that buy this have already been programmed to not ask questions about it and just take it for what it is. Because why would the FBI lie to us, Garland? Why would Kash Patel lie to us? He's honestly trying to do his job. He's honestly trying to look into the Epstein files. He's honestly trying to do everything right here. So why do we question it? Well, we're questioning it because you are deliberately giving us stuff that has no basis in reality. And more than that, you're deliberately silencing other questions, and you're not looking into other things that are way more important than this recreation of a text message. We need to know where those other cameras are. We need to know why the security team was doing all those hand signals with each other. We need to know the money. We need to follow the money. And by the way, you're going to give $1 million to the family for this guy turning himself in, but he's not confessing to it. So you had to make up a text chain to confess in a fake text chain. He's not confessing to it now. So you're kind of in a conundrum, because why would you give $1 million to a family to say, hey, my son did it, when the son's not confessing to it out loud? It doesn't make any sense. So again, that's why you have to have this text recreation and get this out so half the people will believe it. So for now, looks like they're hanging on to a thread on this lie, but I think the walls are caving in on this. Again, Candace Owen releasing this Dairy Queen snapshot. They're going to have to account for that. How did he get? Why would he go to a Dairy Queen and change into half of one outfit and half of the other and order a milkshake? It doesn't make any sense. They're going to have to account for this part. But again, I'm more interested into what are they covering up, because this is way more than incompetence. This is deliberate. There's something a lot more sinister going on here.
And I like this. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find the prints. How the blank will I explain losing it to my old man?
No.
Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Oh, it gives us a lot of information. But here's the thing. So let me understand this. You just shot a guy on national TV, and you're worried about how you will explain to your father a missing rifle. That's your big concern. I just shot a guy. There's a APB out nationwide worldwide for the killer. And what are you concerned about? How the hell am I going to tell my old man I lost the rifle?
Yeah, I'm going to be grounded for losing the rifle, not for murdering someone. That part we're cool. But yeah, I might be grounded for 2 weeks.
He's going to take my video game console.
Yeah, I won't be able to. Yeah, exactly. No, it's ChatGPT. I mean, this is I know it's kind of funny to say that, but how else do you explain this? Like who fed this into an AI and came up with this?
Listen to this. The only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Now he gets into the evidence for some reason. He says, remember how I was engraving bullets? Wait a minute. Let's stop right there.
No.
Someone said to their significant other, hey, Garland, well, I was just telling my girlfriend the other day. I was just like, remember the other day when I was sitting around engraving bullets? Do you think she might look at you and say, what the hell are you doing? Oh, I'm engraving bullets. My God, I'm afraid you, sir, are a crazy person, because only crazy people engrave bullets. They put somebody's name on it, and then they call them and say, there's a bullet with your name on it. What significant other, granted in this instance, it wouldn't necessarily be his girlfriend, but one significant other is going to sit there, hey, what are you doing, Matt? I'm engraving bullets. Oh, all right, you want me to get you a drink or something like that? You need a water? May I have a smoothie? Anybody in their right mind, if you come to your friend's house, hey, what are you doing there, Joe? Just sitting around engraving some bullets. You're doing what to what? Engraving bullets. A, I don't want to know what's on them. And B, I think I'll be heading out of here right now. Engraving bullets means something bad's going to happen. And it's like, remember the other day when I was sitting around the house engraving bullets, like I do when it's raining outside and I'm bored. Some people crochet. Me, I engrave bullets. But it didn't arouse any suspicion whatsoever. Remember? So it's like You know what it was? It sounds like, oh crap. Let's see. Did we miss any details of the evidence? We didn't say anything about engraving bullets. How are we going to get that in there? No, okay, here, do this. Remember the other day when I was engraving bullets?
Yep.
Put that in there. I don't know. Nobody will ever buy that. Shut up. What the hell? The whole thing's a fraud. It's all we got. Put the engraving bullet sentence in there and shut up. Okay.
Yeah. You know, when I think about engraving weapons like bullets, and I think of engraving missiles and bombs, I think of Israel. That's where I go to. So I don't know whoever came up with this to start with. likes to let people know where the murder weapon came from and what message you're sending to people you're about to blow up or shoot or bomb. So that's I wonder where the source of this initially came from, as far as the, you know, this impulse that before I murder the person, I got to write something on the weapon. So I'm just throwing that out there. And by the way, while we're on the topic, there are IDF soldiers right now engraving Charlie Kirk's name on weapons, on missiles, on bombs going into Palestine right now and murdering.
How about this? Nikki Haley, engraving bullets.
Yep. There you go.
Engraving bullets. And where is she? Israel. And where are those bullets going, are those rounds going to end up? In people who they view as that are in the way of what Israel's trying to do. Hey, look, I think that's Tyler Robinson, right? What name is she writing? Probably Tyler Robinson she's putting right there. They'll AI that, they'll take that, and then they'll just like change that person. See, they already got on the sunglasses, the dark glasses. You can AI that into and then the black pen will change that into one of those little metal engraving pencils. There you go. You got your AI picture. We'll go from Nikki Haley to Tyler Robinson, and no one will be the wiser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's where that comes from. I'm just saying, and you're seeing this happen right now with the Charlie Kirk's names going out on bullets and missiles right now. And after we looked into it here, Garland, I am absolutely dumbfounded by the change of direction that Charlie Kirk had in the last month before he was murdered. That part I'm very interested in. The change of direction he had on his opinions of Israel. And I would go beyond just opinions and things he would say, but actions too. It sounds to me like, after doing a little research, it sounds like he started turning down money from Israel. Even though he had taken so many millions of dollars before, he decided to stop doing it. He decided to stop taking offers from Netanyahu. He decided to stop. He was threatened that donors on his Turning Point USA, donors were saying, if you bring Tucker Carlson back on, if you bring people that are challenging Israel, we will cut you off. We will take the money away. And he said, go for it. I want to have these discussions, and I'm not going to be intimidated by you. But the intimidation continued. And we have tons and tons of evidence of him being absolutely concerned, even fearful, that Israel was going to do something to him if he continued to challenge them. Not to mention all the bullying and the threatening. And he obviously got the same treatment that everyone else gets. We're all called anti-Semitic. If you have any question about Israel, you become labeled anti-Semitic. So he had to deal with that too. So all this, we didn't see it happening at the time, but looking at the timestamp and the paper trail, it's pretty remarkable, this shift that happened leading up to this assassination, Garland. And I think that's something we should be looking at, because we know that Kash Patel is not looking at that. So we need real journalism on this now. We need to know why Netanyahu is so quick to do the rounds from the second Charlie Kirk was killed. Netanyahu taking time out of his busy schedule of blowing up 7 countries. He had to take time to tweet nonstop about Charlie Kirk and continue doing the rounds on all the networks. He's putting out videos. Israel didn't do this. Israel didn't do this. Israel didn't do this. Over and over, saying, if you think Israel did this, you're insane. You're a Jew hater. Never addressing any of the points. And lying. By the way, lying about Charlie Kirk. Netanyahu saying that Charlie Kirk was on the phone with him. We just had a call. That didn't happen. He wrote me a beautiful note. I can't share it. I can't share the note, but it was a beautiful note he wrote just a few days before.
Probably a text.
Out.
Probably a text will come out. That'll be the note.
Oh,
Hey,
yes,
how
I'm
are
sure they're working
you?
on it. Yeah,
It is very nice supporting you, and I will always support you.
yeah, yeah.
What a
But
beautiful day in Tel Aviv.
yeah,
You know,
no, that's probably what they're working. Cash is working on it right now. He's sweating up a storm, working on that note. But that's where we're at. Nobody's asking those questions. And if you ask those questions, you're lumped into that category of radical. And they're trying to, you get lumped into radical right and radical left all in one group. And that's fascinating to see that happen, right? If you challenge Israel, if you are anti-war, you're radical, right? Isn't that interesting, Garland, that we assign radical behavior to people that are anti-war, when really what's radical is being center. What's radical is being in the middle, because being in the middle means you agree to every single destruction that we cause, every single regime change war, every single coup, every single land grab, every single genocide, you agree to it if you're in the center. So that to me seems radical. But I guess no, you're centrist. You understand. You reach across the aisle when it's time to send more bombs. You reach across the aisle when it's time to blow up negotiators in Qatar that were negotiating the end of the genocide. How are you saying that it's radical to be against that? And the right and the left, what we need to do is come together for a real anti-war, anti-US Israel war machine movement. It's not radical at all. It's being for humanity. There's nothing radical about that. So I just wanted to set the record straight on that.
yeah, people should look up old Cash Patel's girlfriend. She's actually, here's the thing. As soon as I did a post, did a check, the first thing I saw was article after article. FBI director Cash Patel's girlfriend she's suing somebody for claiming that she's a Mossad agent. Article after article, everything is about she's suing someone, she's fighting back. I'm not a Mossad agent. I don't work for the Mossad. And we know she's not a Mossad agent. She doesn't work for the Mossad. And we know, based on what he said, that Israel had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's murder, because Benjamin Netanyahu told us they didn't.
Yeah.
And she told us she's not a Mossad agent. So we know she's not a Mossad agent. We know all we got to do is listen to the people who are accused of things. They'll tell us they're not. And then when you search on Google, you'll get 57,000 stories in a row that all says they're not. So clearly, oh, by the way, didn't Google just hire a bunch of literal Israeli spies? Am I not mistaken? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And there was I believe a $64 million deal with Google to promote Israel lies that's been in place. There was like a 6-month deal. They put another term on that. So that's going to continue as long as they can do that. Google is 100% in bed with Israel. Like you said, the people they have hired, just like all the social media companies, putting in ex-Mossad agents, ex-IDF people, putting them in charge of what goes in, what goes out, the censorship machine. It's stronger than ever now. It's stronger than ever. And so these companies have been hijacked. They have been completely infiltrated. And that's what can we do when Google is being represented by Israel lobbyists and Mossad agents, ex-Mossad agents? It's pretty wild. But yeah, that's 100% checks out.
Well, look, here's Google playing with fire by acquiring Israeli company founded by Unit 8200. You left something out. Staffed by Unit 8200 veterans. Yep. $32 billion of Israeli cloud. Here's the bottom line. When I searched to find out if this woman's an Israeli spy or a Mossad agent, the people that are setting up that search are literally Israeli spies and Mossad agents. So when I search, Israeli spy agents and Mossad people are giving me the answers to my search to find out whether she's Mossad.
Yeah, that's how you capture an industry. Same with fact checking. We know how fact checking works. It's brought to you by the people that fund the fact check are the ones protecting the thing that you're supposed to be looking into, and then they tell you, no, it all checks out. You're like, does it? It's just like Israel's going to investigate itself. It's the same. It's like, really? So that's what we're counting on. We're counting on the thing that's supposed to be unbiased, it's supposed to be neutral, is going to be representing the side that you're protecting. And then we're never going to get the accurate information unless we go out of our way and have to double down and really hit the ground running And it's quite a battle. I feel like we're constantly in this 300 battle, 300 Spartans against the massive army. It's like you're just going to go out swinging, but we have to fight this thing because very few people are.
Well, it's kind of like, I used to do when I was doing my search and rescue of stuff on the Bay. I had to do all the medical, take all this medical training. And it's just like somebody gets a head injury, wham, and somebody walks up to them and says, "Are you okay?" That's not the way you do it. The part that could answer that is the part that's injured. So you don't walk into somebody got hit in the head with a boom of an oyster ship. Wham! Are you okay? They can't answer that question. The part that would answer it is the part that got hit with them. You have to ask them things like, "What's your name? Do you know what day it is? Do you know who the president is right now? Do you know what I mean? Your address, your phone number, things that they can say, I don't know any of that. Okay, you're injured." But if you say, "Are you okay?" reflexively, people will say, I'm all right. I'm okay. They don't know anything. Yeah. So the idea that the fact checkers, now let me ask you this. Not that the ruling elite and the government would ever take advantage of something, of some kind of outsized event to crack down further. But it seems to me that what I heard immediately from Trump was this: we don't know who did it yet, but we got to crack down on the left for doing it because they supported it, but we have no idea who did it. In other words, it's always the reflex is always, we've got to crack down on somebody. Oh, by the way, we've got to have a rule now, laws, so that if you support terrorism, the Secretary of State can take your passport.
Your passport, yeah.
All of this stuff because some trans activist from Utah shot Charlie Kirk. Therefore, we got to crack down on all these other people.
Yeah, no, this was the whole point. This is why you bring Trump in, to get the other half of the country on board with censorship and punishing the other side. This is what they were missing, because for 4 years we had Biden, we had the left all into censorship. You have to stop domestic terrorism, take away your right for due process. If you're challenging the 2020 election, you're a horrible person. You're a Nazi. You got this whole thing, the whole Charlottesville. It's going to keep happening. We have to lock you up. And so this is
killing people.
Not to mention, let's remember, everybody's celebrating Trump getting his Twitter taken down. Let's not forget that one. That was a big winning moment for the left. We showed him. Speeches, words are violence. Remember AOC? Words are violence. Well, how do you get the other half of the country to start shouting words are violence? Here you go. You bring Trump in, and anything that you set up these false flag events, and you immediately accuse radical left. Now, it's not just Trump. Netanyahu doing this damage control in Israel, doing his rounds. He's the one who said radical Islamists did this. He said that. And the irony is, he's going on Fox News saying radical Islamists need to be punished. He did this on 9/11. Isn't that twisted irony that he?
And this happened on 9/11. This happened on 9/11, didn't it?
He said radical Islamists need to be punished for this. They're the ones responsible. And like you said, Trump is tweeting it out too. We have to go after these people on the left. And now you got the trans story. They get their whole story. You see, both sides get to have their story now. The mainstream media can talk about trans hate, do this narrative that this troubled kid, he's the story. Netflix is going to make a movie about him, how he felt he was a victim of trans hate, fell into a dark place. So he's the hero that we root for. And oh man, he pulled the trigger. Oh, poor kid. The right gets to do this. We are cracking down on anybody. Anybody's going to make a joke, i.e. Jimmy Kimmel. You're going to make a joke, you're done. F you. You're out of here. And so this is exactly what the plan was. Now you have both sides, and even like Barack Obama tweeting out, "Guys, why are you doing this? You were the ones complaining about it. Now you're doing it." It's like, yes, Obama, go further. They were complaining about it because they were right 4 years ago. And now you're right. So everybody is right about it. So stop doing it. Stop doing it. Stop canceling the person that you disagree with. If there's one thing that Charlie Kirk was about over everything, was free speech. We have to give him that. And we can disagree on his ideology. There are a ton of people, I can tell you, I disagree on a lot of things he said. But one thing he said very, very loudly and consistently was, we all have a right to speak. And that's why he did these events. That's why he handed microphones to people and said, come debate me. The last thing he wanted was to shut down conversations. So let's be clear about that. And I believe that's where the separation from Trump first happened with him. The separation was, why are you canceling people? Why are you punishing people? Why are you punishing people for speaking out and using their First Amendment right? So that's the part I believe the separation started. And then from there you get this more of a, oh, it's Israel that's pushing for these laws, the Stop Hate Act, and we're gonna fine you. We're gonna fine social media companies if you allow anybody to have a discrepancy on Israel at all. We're gonna punish you. And he said, that's not, no, come have the debate. So that's what's really sad about this, is that here you got a guy there using this opportunity to go even further with pushing censorship, bringing in more surveillance state, the Palantir thing, and this is the world we're heading to. So anybody who thinks that we're heading to a better place because a guy you disagree with is no longer alive, and you think that we're heading to a better place, you got another thing coming. This is a much darker place. Much darker place. And if I could add one more thing, I don't see people talking about this. Why don't we look at the things he was extreme about? The things that Charlie Kirk was extreme about. We talking about a woman's place in the house. Talking about if a 10-year-old girl gets raped, she should have the kid. Okay, so you have a whole list of things that are very extreme to say. I want to know this. Where did that come from? Why are we programmed to think that a uniquely evil person woke up in the morning one day and said, I'm going to be evil and hate people? We got that from Trump derangement syndrome. That's not how things work. Everything comes from something. Charlie Kirk had extreme ideas about pro-life, extreme ideas about women knowing her place, a bunch of other stuff too. Where did it come from? It came from his church. It came from his church. We pick and choose scripture that we like and scripture we don't like. So he was somebody, I believe, who was trying to apply some sort of principle, but the words are right on the page. The words are right on the page. So rather than us being angry at a uniquely hateful individual, evil person, like get Trump out of here, no kings, get everything back to normal, why don't we look at the system itself that created this? We never do that. And I think now is if we're going to do it at any time, now is the time. We need to look at what is going on in these, what is happening when you have these religions fighting each other. Specifically, you have Judaism being captured, being put in. So you have this, let's take the Palestine map out of the Bible. Where do you think Charlie Kirk got Palestine doesn't exist? Because it was ripped out of the Bible that he championed. So let's look at that. Why was that ripped out of the Bible? So you think that he just, again, did this guy wake up in the morning and say, I'm just uniquely going to hate people? Or am I trying to apply what I was taught at my church? And what I was taught was that Palestine doesn't exist. So he started questioning that. That's what I want to look at. The last month before he was murdered, I want to look at when he started asking questions. Why was this removed? What's going on here? So those are the things that we should be talking about.
Well, let me add this. Here's one of the things that's always pissed me off. Some black guys walking down the street and the cops say, look, a shining object, and shoot him 10 times, right? And then it's like, yeah, the guy just, was walking down the street to get a pack of cigarettes from the corner store or something, and the cop shot him 10 times and he did nothing. This is what happens. Well, we just found out that 3 years ago, he pushed somebody down a flight of stairs. What the hell does that have to do with it? Did you know that he was once arrested for mopery on the high seas? And it is an attempt to say he was a bad guy, so therefore he deserved to be shot, even though in this instance, it's irrelevant. He was walking out straight to get a pair of get a cop shot him 5 times because his cell phone flashed and they said, oh, that's the issue. He was killed. It was unjust. It was wrong. And in order to somehow justify it, people go into his background for anything they can find. He once did something wrong. Therefore, it's okay for the cops to shoot him. Okay. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, this guy's sitting here, he's talking, saying things you might or might not like, and somebody shoots him. Oh, yeah, but what about the things that he said? It's the same thing. I can't go back to something you did or said, even if it was yesterday. I can't go by it to something you did or said and say, therefore, the cops deserve to shoot you. In that instance, you were not presenting any threat to the cops. They did not have any justification for shooting you. It's illegal. They're not allowed to shoot you. I don't want to hear about what you did last week, the week before. Well, that guy once cursed at a teacher in 3rd grade. So therefore, same thing. He got shot. What happened in that instant? He was creating no threat to anyone. He was saying what he believed, what he had, which is protected speech. Like it or not, doesn't matter. He was having a conversation in the public. Everything was on the up and up. Did he seem to me? Could I argue that he was a tool for powerful Zionists? Fair enough. Irrelevant. The man was shot, minding his own business, saying things that are protected speech. So the idea when people come to me, yeah, but he was this, he was a racist, he was that, there's no buts. You can't shoot a person, and they don't deserve to be shot because they said or did things that you didn't like. If there's something that somebody did was illegal or that material harmed you, sue them. Yeah. Take them to court, confront them and say, you're an asshole. You stole my bicycle. Fair enough. Yeah. But to just say he was saying things, they imply. They don't come out and say it, but they imply since he did this or that or other things that I don't like, he deserved to be shot. He didn't deserve to be shot. Well, he was a tool for imperialism, but that's always said he was 31. I don't know where he'd have been 10 years from now. He could have been better. He could have been worse. But don't imply that someone deserved to be killed because people don't deserve to be killed. I don't believe in the death penalty. I do not believe in the death penalty. If you are convicted of murdering 5 people, innocent people, in my opinion, you should get jail without parole. Fair enough, because I don't believe in the death penalty. Because they might find out you didn't do it. Anyway, go ahead.
No, you know what? I will agree with you 100%. I've always been against the death penalty. I think that it's about setting a high bar of what society we want to live in, and if we stoop down to saying that the state can execute people, then we're saying that eye for an eye is a fair game, and then we're only doing is we're pushing the war machine agenda. That's all we're doing, and I want people to understand that like, even though I know somebody killed a family member or killed, and you have this really this emotion. It's full of hate and revenge, and we got to get vengeance, right? That feeling. Just remember that what you're doing, if you believe in the death penalties, you're saying I believe in eye for an eye, state to state war combat. You're elevating that idea where we want to live in a society where we can evolve from that and not be for that. And so I'm with you on that. And with that said, this is, again, we have to apply principle when it's inconvenient to do so. We have to apply principle when somebody we hate, something happens to them. We have to champion the right thing. It's not principle if you're only applying it when it's somebody on your team. And we have to say this over and over because this is exactly an example of this right now. And I'll go further. The people getting canceled. It's weird about Jimmy Kimmel getting canceled on this one. I think the guy was a big, SOB already because he was a bully. He did a lot of bullying on his show again during COVID. He had this whole bit where he shamed unvaccinated people and wished that they died of heart attacks outside of hospitals. And he had the whole. So we know that he's done horrible things. This one that he got fired. It's weird, or they paused his show. I guess they're not bringing it back. But based on what? On a joke where he implies that the shooter was a MAGA. So that's the thing. You're going to do that. We should all have an issue with. We said that's weird, and we should look into it and look to see was this a phone call? But I don't believe. I saw Glenn Greenwald cover this. I don't believe this was a phone call by Trump or by the FCC chair Brendan Carr. You can't just pick up a phone and cancel someone. But there might have been something else going on behind the scenes as far as conversations and like we're going to punish you in another way if you don't get rid of him. Okay, so ABC made the call, but why? Because of pressure. Why was pressure put on? For when you think about a joke where he says that the shooter was a MAGA, one of your guys, and now you have to apologize because you were wrong. Really? The shooter hasn't gone to trial yet. So we don't even know, again, this whole conversation about what really happened. Very interesting that you can get punished for making a joke, a bad joke, but a joke about something that you're saying is wrong, but yet we've had no trial. There's been no court. There's been no confession. There's been no nothing. So you're to say that somebody's dead wrong on something at this point, it doesn't really make sense. So I say, you know what? Even though I don't like the guy, something seems off there. Something seems off there, and we should champion free speech. We should, just like Trump should not have lost his Twitter. You shouldn't be fired for telling a bad joke because nobody got hurt. Because guess what, everyone? Words aren't actually violence. They're not. They're just words. And you can disagree. You can say that was a bad joke. You know, you can say, I'm not going to watch your show anymore. You can boycott.
Right. Yep.
But what is this punishment for I don't like what you said? I don't get it.
You know, my favorite comedians are where I've always been, Richard Pryor and George Carlin. And they used all kind of language, said words that are unacceptable, said things, attacked religion, you name it. They said it. Race, you name it. And I'm like, awesome. That's like brilliant stuff. That's what I'm trying to hear. Some guy who gets out there. And for the comedian, there should be no boundaries. They can say whatever. And the thing about it is, people don't have to listen to it. People don't have to buy their stuff. People don't have to watch their channels if they don't want to, but those who want to should be able to. And of course, the First Amendment specifically protects what? Unpopular speech.
Yeah.
Popular speech doesn't need to be protected. It protects unpopular speech. So I don't believe, I've read lots of quotes from Charlie Kirk, and I'm like, that's abhorrent. You know, the person to make that's a terrible statement to make. I would never agree with that, and I'd never like that. You know what I mean? And I didn't even, here's the truth. I didn't really much know a damn thing about him because I didn't watch him or pay any attention to him whatsoever, right? But if somebody said, should he be shot? No. Locked up for saying that? No. Somebody should tell him he's wrong, and somebody should say the opposite. And I can, you know what? I got a YouTube channel. I can go on YouTube and say, yeah, let me tell you what Charlie Kirk said. Here's his statement, and here's why it's wrong. He's got a right to say it. Then I got a right to rebut it. And that's perfectly reasonable to me. I don't have to hate the guy because he said something terrible. I don't have to. I could hate him. That would be protected. I can hate him all I want to. But the idea that I should wish death upon people or cheer for the murder of people because they've said things that I find abhorrent, I don't think so. David Duke, the Klan guy or whatever, he's not there. Let David Duke say whatever he could say. I think all black people are terrible and should be slavery again. Apparently, Kirk said something on that line. You know what? I can come out and say, I'm going to do a show on the latest thing that David Duke said. It's my right.
Yeah. Well, and that's why we should all be furious when you can't share these videos. You just mentioned you can share a link to something and show it. Well, guess what? There's one you're not going to be able to do, Garland, because it was taken down from YouTube. There's a video of Charlie Kirk saying that Netanyahu let October 7th happen so he could stay in power. That video has been removed from YouTube. So he's on the video who's asking, was there a stand down order on October 7th? Gone. You can't share it anymore on YouTube. So people grabbed it, threw it on Twitter. You can find it there. You can't find it on YouTube. So we should all be not just furious, but be concerned to a point of, why is this happening? Why are you controlling our speech? We're back to this Google YouTube problem with the, Mossad, ex-Mossad agents running the damn thing. So you're not going to be able to find this video. It's gone. And meanwhile, like you mentioned earlier, Marco Rubio pushing to take passports away. That's really what we should be talking about right now. Not whether somebody said something that was mean or awful. We should be talking about, why are we not allowed to share things and have commentary? Because you and I can't have commentary if the thing that we're referencing isn't online anymore. We can't talk about it. We can't, debunk it or rebut it or do what. We can't do those things if you take it from us. And then you're going to take our passports from us for criticizing Israel. That's what we should be talking about right now.
Here's the video. Let me find it. Oops. Hold on a second. This is the video that you were referencing. And it is about Charlie Kirk. There we go. All right, here we go. This is Charlie Kirk.
I've been in Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking.
So I'm not going to do the whole thing, but you get my picture. You get my point. You know, the guy was saying things. Again, he could say a million things that I disagree with, but he said something that I thought was reasonable. Somebody could say 100. A person could say 10. Logically speaking, a person could say 10,000 things that are incorrect, and then one that was correct. And I would say, well, the other 10,000 were wrong, but this was reasonable. I wouldn't say, well, just because the other 10,000, it was reasonable. The guy started questioning October 7th, and now he's not around. And might I add, he was replaced by a guy who ain't never going to question October 7th, which causes a lot of people to be suspect.
Well, you should absolutely be suspect, especially if this is about the church. It's about. I thought this was a Christian, philosophy that he started Turning Point USA to push Christian values. Apparently that was the source of it. Why would you let Ben Shapiro, who's letting this happen, take over when he's clearly not pushing that initial message? Clearly not. It's a whole nother, when you talk about being a Zionist, you don't care about Christianity. Look, I'm not going to mince words here. This is not up for debate. Full on Zionist does not have any respect for the Christian religion at all, period. If you guys want proof, go Google Ben Shapiro on Joe Rogan when he talks about how Jesus was just a man. He was not the Son of God. So just that, I have no tie to, I don't care about this guy. So just that alone, that should be suspect enough. Who is making these decisions? Who is putting Ben Shapiro on the new microphone, the new mouthpiece for a Christian group when he's saying, I have my own agenda. I have my own, protect Israel agenda. I have my own, if you have a problem with it, you're anti-Semitic and we could do whatever the hell we want. That doesn't sound like the initial purpose of what this group was supposed to be. And I believe, back to him being 20, this kid was 31 years old when he was killed. You have your whole life ahead of you. He was at we want to talk about a turning point. He was at a turning point. He was at a turning point. We said, wait a minute, maybe there's some stuff I got wrong. Maybe as I'm trying to put my principles that I learned from my church, by the way, I learned it from my church, and I'm trying to put these principles into play. I'm facing not just resistance. I'm facing threats. I'm facing scary stuff, and I'm not okay with it. And so now we don't get to see what happens next because they said, you know what? No, you're done. And that's really the tragedy here. That's really the tragedy here. What could have happened? What could have happened next? So here we are, and we have to clean up the mess. But yeah, we need to be suspicious of who's grabbing that mic next.
Well, the saying about the U.S., what is it? To be their enemy is dangerous. To be a friend is fatal. You could say that about the Zionists. You know what I mean? To be their enemy is dangerous. To be their friend, well, Charlie Kirk was their best friend. If somebody else finish that sentence for me. He's their friend because he was, to me, when I look at it, he was very valuable, extremely valuable, maybe a little too valuable. He was so valuable, man, they couldn't afford to lose him. Not in the way that I mean lose him, maybe in the way that they mean lose him. But he was so valuable to keep the young conservatives. And right now, people are looking at the genocide, and they're saying, I don't want any of this. Is crap. This is bad. Young people are running in droves. And this guy suddenly asked a couple questions. He's not allowed to ask any questions. And I saw another video where he said, well, we questioned COVID and we questioned Ukraine. Why can't we question Israel? Dude, that is not you. He was a paid propagandist, in my opinion. He was a tool of the machine. They gave him money because he was effective at what they wanted, and that I don't agree with what they wanted, and I don't agree with his message and what he was doing because I think he was a paid propagandist tool, in my opinion. That being said, that was investment. And they expect a return on their investment. And when their paid propagandist tool says, well, but I do have some questions. I'm just saying, we can look how things turned out.
100% agree with that, girl. 100%. He went from paid propagandist to questioning that you can't be that thing anymore. You go from your greatest asset. He was the greatest asset for that movement.
Yes, he was.
Greatest asset. Not running for office, being a person with a microphone, going around recruiting this new generation into this fake movement that we're taking on the deep state and we're going to be this new voice of the people. Very Barack Obama of them, by the way. That's the whole. You have to reinvent this like movement on the ground for a certain demographic. He was a massive asset. So once you can't do the thing anymore, like you said, you go from asset to liability. You got to be removed. That's it. Period. End of story. So.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. What kills me is the people who, when we have a conversation based on our principles, right? It's not based on who Charlie Kirk was or was. As I said, when I was with the ACLU, which I've since completely abandoned, we literally took up a case for the KKK. Look at the case for, and I went on TV and defended it and said, no, I'm sorry. They wanted to have this march and they put in for a permit and the city of Annapolis said no. And by law, the First Amendment, based on their views, you can't deny them the permit. That was it. That was all. This is what they said. Well, and I said, I find their views abhorrent, but abhorrent views are protected by the First Amendment. And our issue is not the KKK. It's not the KKK that we're defending. It is the principles of the First Amendment. Well, if I can defend the KKK, I'm sure I can defend anybody else. I'm a black person. There is no lower you can get than some guy that wants to hang you. You know what I mean? But the point being, these people, they don't have these principles that are based on their understanding of justice. The principles, and this is what the ruling elite wants. This is a member of my team, my group. I don't like what they said. They said something that I disagree with, as opposed to, well, the principles say specifically, you got to protect the people that you disagree with.
Yeah. That's very noble that you did that. And there's so few people that would even understand the gravity of that you're applying. This is when we talk about this all the time. This is you apply principle when it's the least inconvenient time to do so. That's what makes it principle. And we count on that, because if we don't do it for our enemy, there's no one going to do it for us. That's the real lesson here. And unfortunately, the MAGAs fell for this. They didn't go the correct direction. They didn't go in the direction of, hey, you screwed us on January 6th. Those people did not get due process. Was not cool. You screwed us there. We're not going to screw you. No, it was eye for an eye, right? We're back to, you do it to us, we're going to do it right back to you. F all you Elon Musk, Tesla. We're going to come get you. We're going to send you to El Salvador, super prison. We're going to deport all the Palestinian protesters. So this whole, we're not applying it. We're just punishing each other back and forth. So that story you're telling, I mean, that's a massive moment that you participated. I have to say, like, that's the kind of thing we need to educate like a new generation about. What does principle actually mean? Because that's a living, breathing proof of it right there.
Before we go, I did want to hit people, since you're our voice from Hollywood, the Emmys. There was protests. What do we need to know?
We need to know that the voice for Palestine, the voice for humanity, is getting louder here, and so we're seeing everything going in the right direction. With the Emmys that happened recently, you had one of the big moments was Hannah Binder, who won the Best Supporting Actress in the series Hacks. She is yelling out "Free Palestine." It was a big moment. Of course, there's some boos, but she yelled it out when she got the Emmy, which is really awesome. You had people like Javier Bardem, who we know has been massively a big voice for Palestine. He was in a keffiyeh, so he wore the scar. It was awesome. He's like on the red carpet doing that. He was nominated for the Monsters character he played in Monsters, which was the you guys remember that the Menendez brothers depiction on Netflix. So with that, you have that, and we talked about this previously last week, Garland, where we had that petition going around. More have signed that. So now we went from 1,800. Now we have 4,500 signatures on the boycott to Israeli films. So anything to do with
4,500?
Israel film companies being involved with the movie, you have other very big name actors joining this since we last spoke, like Emma Stone, Andrew Garfield, and we said I wondered if Joaquin Phoenix was going to jump on because he was part of the Voice of Hind Rajab movie, and that one doing the rounds. He did sign on. Joaquin Phoenix is now on the petition as well. So this is going in the correct direction. And you, of course, if you turn on Fox, if you see some of these reports, they're still going to call everybody, Jew haters and all this stuff. But the voice is getting louder here in Hollywood. And I think that, I think that we're going to see a shift here in the control of the films. It might happen sooner than later. I'm very optimistic about it because you couldn't have anything like this happen, even a year ago, 2 years ago. No way. You couldn't get away with this. But yeah, enough of them are getting brave, and it's time to be on that right side. So I would say, yeah, you guys go check out some of those clips of the Palestine. Don't worry about the awards themselves. They were boring. We don't even get into that, but
right.
All the films, whatever. But it's just nice to see people with that type of, influence, getting on a stage and saying, this is the time right now. The time is for Palestine. The time is to say no to Israel. And we're seeing that now in this town, in Hollywood. It's pretty fascinating to live through this right now.
Yeah. I think there's an unrecoverable, insurmountable wave of attitudes. There's just a wave of views towards Israel that are just overwhelming this country to a point where, what it does, one of the things it does, it more isolates the ruling elite, so that like more and more people are saying, well, these are the people in charge. We don't agree with them. These are the people in charge. They're beating us down because we don't agree with them. They're fighting us there. And maybe it'll wake people up. I was very, very frustrated during COVID because people like us were like, we didn't trust them before COVID, and we sure as hell don't trust them now. You know what I mean? What the hell are you people talking about? You believe this crap? But now it seems to me that even this has been a wake-up call to some of the most, the most, super pro COVID, wear 4 masks and, get 5 jabs a day people. Not that it's not safe and effective, YouTube, because in fact, and before Matt and I came on, we just got our latest boosters. After we go off, we'll get our boosters. And so you'll know, YouTube, everyone who's in our chat, actually require them to get boosters to even be in the chat. And most of them are wearing a condom just for extra safety while they're in the chat. So everything's safe and effective here. More boosters for everybody. That's our motto. We're standing for boosters. All right, Matt Weinglass. By the way, where can everybody go before they? Where can everybody go to find your stuff? Yeah,
our new YouTube channel, THL Presents, on YouTube, because the first one got terminated. So guys, join that one up. And then of course our home base is on Rumble, at the Homeless Left on Rumble. Check us out Tuesdays and Thursdays every afternoon. Non-tribal approach to news. We keep the conversations going. And love to have you back on with us as well soon.
Let me know, man. I'll be around next week. Also, everybody, just before I go, so you'll know, you see everything scrolling across the bottom. If you can afford to donate to the channel, that's great. Even if you don't, the most important thing between boosters, because that's got to be the priority, but before and after you get your next booster, make sure you share this on all your social media platforms. We're out.